Hello, everybody. Welcome to Word Funk. I am Leon Thomas. With me, as always, is Johnny Maloney and Austin Yorsky. Ladies and gentlemen, if you listened to the old Blistered Thumbs podcast, this show will seem very familiar to you because we're going to talk almost exclusively about video games because a bunch of video game news just hit because of Gamescom, a big video game convention release thing that just happened. It's kind of like E3, but not as big. So if you don't want to listen to three guys talk about video games for an hour,
go listen to the BT podcast.
Yeah. But no, if you tune into the show mostly for like movie and TV talk, sorry, but I don't care because you've already clicked the flip link and I have your ad revenue money already. So.
Leon's going heel on this episode.
Yeah, you're completely turned.
Sell out.
No, but seriously, we're gonna have fun, and knowing us, we're gonna start talking about video games, but not really. That's all right. So, Austin, you have a really big story that came out of Gamescom. Why don't you tell us about it, and we will react all surprised, like it's the first time we've heard the news, and weren't talking about it before the show.
Okie dokie then. Microsoft and Sony had their press conferences today in Cologne, Germany for Gamescom, and there were some good announcements, a couple of like new IP, some indie stuff, but one of the more interesting things that came out of it was during Sony's press conference, they announced...
Studio Ghibli announced a new Dead Space game?
Johnny?
Sorry, I had to.
You sit down and think about what you've done.
All right, I will.
During Sony's press conference, they announced that a demo for a new horror game was now available on the PlayStation Network. You go download it right now. They showed like a little clip from it. It looked like kind of a Amnesia: The Dark Descent inspired first-person horror game. It looked fine. But it turns out when you play it at the end, the credits roll and it says, "From Hideo Kojima and Guillermo del Toro comes Silent Hills." Which, I guess that's just the new Silent Hill game. That's the strangest way to announce what should be, like, the title of the show, right? That's like a blockbuster that they hid in a demo that took, like, 5 hours for anyone to finish.
Do we know that it's like it's a game? Or
yeah,
yeah. You gotta earn the announcement.
No. I'm sorry because what we've got here. They also mentioned Norman Reedus, right?
Yeah, they motion captured it. He's at the very end. It's first person, so you don't know it's Norman Reedus until the end, and the camera zooms out and you see him.
I watched it at work a little bit today when nobody was watching me. Just a little bit, not much.
Who doesn't just sneak peeks at Norman Reedus while on the clock? We all do it.
I usually keep a tab open on Google Images where I'm just like, God, why am I doing this? Click. Yeah, Norman Reedus.
In case our listeners aren't completely familiar with the name Norman Reedus, which I was not immediately, that's Dale from The Walking Dead. He was also in Boondock Saints. So those are the only things I know him from.
So he hasn't been anything good yet, unfortunately.
Hey, no, well, I saw Boondock Saints only recently.
And the first season of Walking Dead was interesting.
Yeah, I know. I'm just being a dick. I had a friend whose her favorite movie was Boondock Saints.
Really?
And, like, every time we had a conversation about it, it made me hate the movie more. Like, the first time I saw it, I was like, oh, this is an okay Tarantino knockoff. But, like, now it's just like I genuinely hate the movie because of this person.
There was a firefight. I don't know if you knew that. But
there was a firefight.
There was one, and it happened. And also music.
It had Billy Connolly in it, and that's all right for me.
Cross-dressing Willem Dafoe is my favorite part.
My mother, and also, yeah, I'm sorry, but that line where Willem Dafoe is in bed with the other guy, and the guy's like, but I want to cuddle, and Willem Dafoe's like, you're such a fag.
Brilliant.
Just Willem Dafoe's all over that movie. I don't know how I feel about it. As I was watching it, I was having mixed emotions, but it's worth seeing just to watch Willem Dafoe.
Exactly.
I have a small connection to Billy Connolly. My mother's Scottish. She grew up in the same town as Billy Connolly. They ran into each other a number of times, like friends like that, but they're around the same age and things like that. But she always followed his career right from like the very beginning and things like that. So she would always like, we have all his LPs at home, his big vinyls and things like that. So and I love his stand-up. So whenever I see a movie with Billy Connolly in it, I'm immediately endeared to it, which makes me super conflicted about The Last Samurai.
I feel like we've strayed from the point here. Johnny, you were asking, do we know if Silent Hills, perhaps title pending, is a game?
Because they've got Norman Reedus, they've got Guillermo del Toro, and they have Hideo Kojima, but, I mean, Sony has been, you know, I'm assuming because it's Gamescom, although apparently, you know, just because you have a games convention, that doesn't mean that you're talking about games, but I know that Sony has original TV series lined up.
That Powers thing?
Yeah, you know, like I'm hoping it's gonna be a game.
I can't imagine Hideo Kojima he's just as a video game guy is just brought on for.
He always wanted to be a movie maker, though.
That's all he's ever wanted to be. Have you ever played a Metal Gear? They are movies.
I've tried.
This would actually be like his dream project to get to do a film thing with like Hollywood talent. That's actually a good point, Johnny. They did not clarify. I mean, I already mentioned it. It was a strange way to even announce the project.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, even the way they talked about it, they didn't say it's a demo. They said it's an interactive teaser. And I saw a lot of jokes on Twitter like, yeah, that's called a demo, assholes. But why did they specifically just call it interactive teaser? That makes it sound like the thing it's teasing is not interactive. So you might be onto something.
It occurred to me almost immediately when I started reading the press materials that I was like, oh yeah? Because deciding to change the name from Silent Hill to Silent Hills?
That could just be a sequel stuff. I mean, Alien became Alien.
Yeah, that's where I was going to go with it. They're also, I mean, I don't know how far along this is, but I heard there was, like, talks to do a Resident Evil TV show as well. So, I mean, this isn't exactly the first, like, project that would have this as an idea.
No, I mean, we have a TV actor, a video game developer, and, like, I can't even remember if Del Toro has claimed an Oscar. I think he did for Pan's Labyrinth.
He was at least nominated.
I know he was at least nominated. So it's kind of like, okay, who's the lead talent here? Like, the fact that they've released a demo, I mean, I'm sorry.
But it wasn't even a demo for Silent Hills. It was like called PT is what it was called.
Yeah, it was called PT.
And it was an interactive teaser for something else. It's weird.
I think there was a game studio associated with it, though. I'm going to do a quick Google.
It just said Konami, as far as I remember.
Well, there. I mean, is Konami? I don't even know.
Konami owns Silent Hill, so
I know, but
that would be in the credits regardless. But I don't. This is a question. I just assumed before Johnny brought it up that it was going to be a game because why wouldn't it be a game? Yeah. But that's not a bad observation. Would we be down for a Silent Hill show? I have reservations about the Resident Evil show when I heard about it. I was like, I'm probably not going to watch that. But Silent Hill show might actually be more interesting because the psychological stuff it's not zombies, first of all, which is boring.
Would the Resident Evil show star Mila Jovovich or would
I don't think so.
Oh God, please no.
The idea I heard was
not that I don't like looking at Mila Jovovich. She's a beautiful woman, and at times she can actually be a talented actor. She's just usually at the mercy of horrible directors and awful scripts.
What I heard was that the Resident Evil show was going to be a police procedural pre-Raccoon City outbreak. So I guess like mysterious deaths and stuff. An umbrella is like covering up stuff.
Oh, well, that sounds fucking terrible.
That's what I said. But I mean, if this Silent Hill thing, if you watched the PT demo, it's like someone walking around in a house and like weird shit's happening, and then at the end they open a door and like go onto the street where it's like raining and creepy. If Silent Hill show takes place in Silent Hill during Silent Hill ass shit, that would be cool. If it's just like people in like a neighboring town talking about Silent Hill, like that's obviously boring. You know what I'm saying? But I don't know. It would take quite a budget to sustain any significant like special effects over an entire television season.
Unless they decide to, Hannibal or HBO it or something like that.
I mean, ideally HBO, but
well,
is there any precedent for Sony working with anything like that?
No, I just mean in the sense where, like, basically where you spend a whole season's worth of budget, where someone's like, a TV show costs this much per season, and then you condense it down. Okay, all right, I've tracked it down here, all right. There is actually a developer involved called 7780s Studio.
Okay.
So it looks as though they're aiming in the direction for a game.
Are those the people who did PT, though?
I don't know.
I mean, I've never heard of that. Is that an existing entity? That sounds like
we're talking about Hideo Kojima.
Exactly. Do you remember that fake company he made up for the Phantom Pain? It was Moby Studios.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, what the fuck? Like, what do we?
Exactly. He's a troll. He gets off on this, guys.
Oh, okay. And we don't
have too much to go off right now, but it's interesting. These are people who, I mean, they're all interesting personalities, but I don't know what's, is it just me, or do you guys feel like Hideo Kojima and Guillermo del Toro are both kind of on the downswing? Like, I love Pan's Labyrinth, like, Pacific Rim is okay, and I hear that The Strain isn't very good.
I haven't bothered to watch it. I hear mostly bad things.
Yeah, and then
I haven't watched The Strain either.
I loved Kojima's work for years and years, but like Peace Walker was a little underwhelming, and then Ground Zeroes is like actively gross and repellent, and Phantom Pain looks weird. I don't know if we have time to go into that, but I don't know. I would have been much more excited about this collaboration years ago.
Okay.
So
I'm
I guess
worried about the egos clashing. I don't know anything about like either one of their egos. I know that Hideo Kojima obviously is quirky. To say the very least. But I also know that Guillermo del Toro is very creatively focused.
Do you think they would have an equal billing? I feel like Del Toro would like produce and Kojima would direct.
Well, one of the things is that I wonder if Del Toro was maybe tapped to perhaps make the other world.
Yeah, if we're going with the TV idea, I would prefer the way he does like practical effects.
Yeah.
He's really good at that.
And even his designs, like when in Pan's Labyrinth, when the imp or whatever it is with the eyes and the hands,
the pale man.
Yeah, like that was
fucking awesome,
stirring image for its time. And I mean, Silent Hill had been around before then.
Yeah, that actually was a really Silent Hill-esque thing, wasn't it?
Very, very. But that doesn't mean he necessarily ripped off or was influenced by, or, they were meeting each other or something like that. I know that the original Silent Hill really pulled a lot from Jacob's Ladder.
Definitely, yeah.
But to see maybe Guillermo del Toro's monster design or otherworld design or whatever you want to call it influence Silent Hill could induce a little bit of vitality. I say this without having played the last Silent Hill game or any of the mobile spin-offs.
Downpour was okay.
Because
it's made by an entirely different studio than
release them for PC. Not that I would have bought it. I think
do we have anything we want to say more about this I assume game, or should we move on to the next thing?
I think we've established either way we'll keep an eye on it.
Okay.
Interested but cautious.
All right, Johnny, you want to take us to the other huge news coming out of Gamescom?
What, you mean Tomb Raider?
Yeah.
Because Tomb Raider, let me tell you.
Is it exclusive to Studio Ghibli?
I hear they're writing the papers up right now.
I'm sorry, I'm a dick.
No, dude, Tomb Raider is one of the largest, most expansive, genre-defining video games from about 15 years ago.
It was super important once upon a time.
Oh, man. When it launched on the Sega Saturn, I think it was.
That's how I played the original one, and the only one I've ever played.
Yeah. And it's always been a contender on PC. Lara Croft and the PC are like two overly sized breasts, tightly held together in a tube top that might have been designed to possibly attract pubescent males.
Oh, Johnny.
So, do you want to get into the thing, or do you want to go into a wild thing here?
Your metaphors never fail to both confuse me and slightly arouse me.
Well, you know what? I'm okay. I'm okay with mixed emotions because I feel that existence is kind of a weird situation to be in, insofar as that it's going to end, so there's really no permanence to it. And anyways, so it seems that Microsoft, bless them, bless their little hearts for trying so hard. Honestly, they're the last kid that comes running off the field at this point in time that I just want to be like, you're my champ today, kid. You're my champ.
I think we're losing Johnny.
No, I'm sorry. It's weird to me. It's weird to me. All right. So the news basically is that Tomb Raider was, I'm going to use finger quotes on the internet here, announced as being an exclusive to the Xbox One, or as I like to call it, the Microsoft purple duck face.
Callback joke.
Yeah. Just a quick one. But here's the funny thing about it, is that Microsoft has called a lot of other things exclusive before, like Titanfall. Titanfall was a Microsoft exclusive, except you can play it on the PC. I believe they advertised Assassin's Creed Unity at one point in time as being a Microsoft exclusive.
They trotted it onto their E3 presentation stage.
Yeah.
Rise, Son of Rome was an Xbox One exclusive until it wasn't.
It was indeed. It's been announced for PC now.
Dead Rising 3 was
Also,
Xbox One exclusive.
The most exclusive of Xbox One games.
There's a pattern is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. So what we're trying to impart here is that there's a strong possibility that this may be only, at best, a timed exclusive.
They're being really cagey with the wording.
Yeah, like Square Enix, the guys who are developing the game, legally are not even allowed.
Doesn't by, not saying it pretty much confirm that? I mean, the thing is, by the time, I'm always, a couple years behind in the video games that I purchase. By the time that I buy a PS4, I almost certainly will be able to get this new Tomb Raider game. That's my feeling.
It will almost certainly come to PC. I would bet significant money on that. Okay. PlayStation 4, less so, but I'm pretty confident it'll get there eventually. The way that the press release reads, it says it is coming exclusively to the Xbox One. I think it says holiday season, right?
Holiday 2015.
Okay,
it's exclusively doing that. It doesn't necessarily only exclusively coming to that platform, just in that window.
By that wording, technically, if it comes in December, then that means the PS4 and PC versions could come in January, and it would technically be correct.
It could, and here's the thing: a lot of games journalists have been asking Square Enix, is it a timed exclusive? And all they'll say is, it's exclusively coming in that window. I feel like that, like Johnny said, they're contractually obligated to dodge that question.
They're winking to us by even answering it at all. I mean, they're basically telling us, but without breaking their contract.
Yeah, Microsoft gave them a certain amount of money to say it's exclusive because it's a smart move by Microsoft. You need exclusives to sell your hardware, and they're lagging behind Sony. And they have their first-party stuff, but if they can score strong third-party IP like Tomb Raider, why not? I mean,
Can I ask you a question though? Leon, is your wife in the room?
No, she's in the other side of the apartment.
All right, that's cool. So, does the next Tomb Raider make either one of you want to buy a Microsoft Purple Parrot Monkey?
We discussed this about an hour ago. She said, "I can't believe it. Tomb Raider, the new Tomb Raider is going to be on Xbox One, and the new Silent Hill is going to be on PS4. So, which one am I going to get?" And I'm like, well, we don't know for sure how long it's going to be, and personally, and she's like, I may have to get an Xbox One. And I said, hon, you're buying that. I'm not even buying PS4 until they cut the price, and I'm all done with my PS3 and Wii games. When it is time to buy new consoles, just because I want to play new Infamous games and new Mario and Zelda games and Bloodborne. The trailer to that looks cool. I'm almost certainly going to get a Wii U and a PS4, and there hasn't really been anything on the Xbox One that I've seen so far that makes me think that's the console for me. I'm willing to pay hundreds and hundreds of dollars for that thing.
What about Quantum Break, that cover-based third-person shooter? Or what about the Sunset Overdrive, that open world shooter? Or what about hold on, I got more shooters here. Yeah. Oh, there's new Halo. That's gonna be a shooter. That's gonna be fun.
Yeah.
Grand Theft Auto 5 redo.
Okay, we give Microsoft a lot of shit, unfortunately, but I mean it's not as if they don't make good games.
I'm sure they do gonna have some like actual exclusive games that are not going anywhere else for their system, and that's fine. But the way I guess in my mind, I don't really feel compelled to get all three consoles because almost everything that I want is either going to be cross-platform or PS4 or Wii U, and only a handful will be on the Xbox One. So that's a lot of money to spend on just a few exclusive games.
I have to drop
the
hammer.
Leon.
Austin, I have to drop the hammer right now on Microsoft because news broke just a couple of weeks ago that they cut a shit ton of people. Tons of people from their internal games development. They were just like, fuck it, why bother?
Didn't they also canceled some of the like TV initiatives that they were really proud of?
Yeah. So what they have done here is they have decided that having internal control with a bunch of people who apparently don't do their jobs as well as they'd like to is worse than just paying a bunch of money to another company that would probably be happier to let their games flourish on all platforms.
Well, Johnny, why foot the entire bill to develop a game when you can just pay a fraction of that to secure timed exclusivity for someone else's game?
Because who gives a shit about timed exclusivity right now?
Apparently, a lot of people do. I mean, the internet was furious over this, and I know that there are Tomb Raider fans who are going to buy an Xbox One for this. I said this before. I think this is actually a smart move on their part.
Think so?
I think it works in their interest.
I think it's ridiculous.
No, I'm not saying it's anti-consumer.
Not even anti-consumer. I think it's a ridiculous business strategy.
I think here's the thing, Johnny. We've talked about this before. Exclusives sell consoles. The more exclusives they can tout, the better. And if it's too expensive to develop them internally, they can pay less than that to get them for long enough that they get the first sales. Because that's the most important thing, is the day one sales.
Yeah, but everybody knows. I mean, I say everybody because they all pay attention as much as the obsessive people like we do.
Savvy gamers know. That's a very small percentage of the population.
Everybody knows that that Tomb Raider underperformed, according to Square Enix's calculations.
Yeah, 6 million wasn't enough. That's another thing, though. I think also from Square Enix's perspective, here, it might seem strange to cut their potential customer base in half, right? Because you could sell Tomb Raider to people who own PS4s and Xbox Ones.
Yeah.
And cutting it in half seems strange, but I think in the long run, it isn't that big of a deal because they get the short-term cash from Microsoft, they get the Xbox One sales, and then when they eventually make it multi-plat, they get those sales anyway. It's delaying it.
It's a great move for Square Enix. Absolutely, it's a great move for Square Enix. I think
everyone wins but the consumers.
How much do you think Microsoft, how many console sales do you think they're going to get out of this? Particularly when I feel like that this holiday season is going to be the litmus ground. This is going to be the litmus test. This is where they've got enough systems out, so kids are going to be saying like, hey, how about now? And moms and dads are going to be thinking about it.
I mean,
do you think that the announcement of Tomb Raider?
I don't think Tomb Raider on its
holiday season 2015 is going to tip that balance.
Not on its own. I think it might be part of a larger strategy to do this with multiple higher priority titles. Like if they can get something from Activision, something from Ubisoft, and build up a portfolio.
They're not going to get anything from either one of them. Activision and Ubisoft have made empires on multi-platform titles, and they have more money than God.
You say that, but you know Destiny is doing a PlayStation First initiative right now. They had all kinds of early access and stuff.
And they announce it as a PlayStation First initiative.
I know, but I'm saying there's no reason they couldn't also strike a similar deal. Like Call of Duty has been predominantly associated with the Microsoft and Xbox brand, right? There's no way they don't do something like that for the new Advanced Warfare.
Microsoft is giving Activision money to be like, please come and present at our conference.
I'm just saying, I think there might be more to it. I don't think Tomb Raider is the whole plan. I think this is part of a strategy to cut.
I certainly fucking hope not. Because if that's the whole plan, is just to buy sequels, that's going to be problematic.
I mean, I think this is the part of the podcast where I say I don't actually mind losing Tomb Raider, because it's basically Uncharted, and Uncharted will be on PS4. So
it was a good game, but it's like the original one, or not the original one, but the remake of the original one was a good game, but it's not going to make me buy anything.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Tomb Raider is a marquee name, but it doesn't move hardware by itself, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Only as part of, a larger movement to doing this will it actually affect anything. But I think the big story, everyone's just furious. Like, remember when Bayonetta 2 was announced for Wii U, and everyone just lost their goddamn minds because the first one was on Xbox 360 and PS3? It's like that.
But Bayonetta 2, probably would not have been made.
Exactly. That's the difference. That's why, if Sega wasn't going to pay for it to be finished, Nintendo did. I think Rise of the Tomb Raider would exist regardless.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm calling it anti-consumer, where I'm not saying the same thing about Bayonetta 2. Also, they're packing in the first Bayonetta with Bayonetta 2, which is really cool.
Yeah, but you're right. The fact that Tomb Raider 2 probably would have been made, most likely would have been made, that's the giant turd right in the middle of your risotto.
Wow.
That's a strong image.
You know what though, is the grated Parmesan cheese and little bits of shallots and diced shrimp in your risotto? The Sega CD.
The grossest, strangest transition in history.
Yeah.
Not even concluding the last topic. Let's just jettison it on the way out, right?
Look, it's fucked up. It's really fucked up.
Okay.
In conclusion, it's fucked up. Come on, you gotta structure it properly.
That's all.
We are actually going to talk about the Sega CD because we have to talk about something else that came out of Gamescom.
In the news.
Ghibli is remaking the Sega CD?
Oh my god. No, some news that recently popped up. I'm not even sure it came out of Gamescom. It's news in the gaming world, and that is that they are trying, a developer is trying to make an HD remake of Night Trap. And, I mean, in a way, it makes perfect sense for a couple of reasons. Firstly, this was originally meant to be a game released in the late 80s for a VHS game system that never got off the ground. And as such, the video quality might have been mildly better. Maybe. But the way it is on the Sega CD, you're not seeing it in even VHS quality. You're seeing it in like a square in the middle of the screen and like lots of other stuff around it. It's like the really, really, really letterboxed edition of a movie, and
it looks like the butt is what you're trying to say.
And it's all very grainy. Apparently, there's a couple different versions of Night Trap. The one on Sega CD that I played is very grainy. There's another version, I think, that came on like the 3DO or something that looks slightly better, but certainly not HD because that was not a thing back then. But now,
but everybody had a 3DO.
I was about to say that. That massive install base, everyone's played it.
Oh my. But yeah, I'll say this: when news broke about it, I said I will play that. I will play that. I'm not going to fund the Kickstarter because that's just not something I do. But when the Kickstarter goal is reached, which I'm sure it will, because people will either pay towards it because they really want to play it, or they will do so ironically, which I guess is like, I mean, that's like the stupidest thing to do. Ironically, pay for something. Oh, I'm giving away my money, but I'm only doing it as a lark, you know. But no. I will play this, honestly. If they have a like that, they say that it's going to be for like the PS3 and Xbox 360, so they're not even going to bother with the new systems. You can you'll be able to like download it through the PlayStation Network, and I probably will. The other reason it makes sense is because Night Trap is actually, you know, almost besides the fact that it's hard, and I'll get into why in a second. Besides the fact that it's hard, it's a casual game. It's very much a casual game in the sense that the gameplay is limited in the way that almost all casual games are. This is very limited gameplay, and that makes more sense for today than it ever did back then. Back in the days when the coolest things were like really twitchy stuff like Sonic and like stuff like that. And so in a way, it actually makes perfect sense to me. I will honestly buy this game, like the day it comes out.
You really think this is gonna get funded? I'm looking at the page now. It's been up for 3 days, and it's made 16,000 out of the 330,000 goal.
It will happen. It's gonna happen. I'm gonna put it out into the universe like The Secret and make this happen through the sheer force of will. No, somehow this.
While you're at that, Leon, could you also use The Secret to feed everybody in Africa?
No, I really got to work on my digital pictures remakes. I mean, there's only so much cosmic energy I can expel from my body.
All right. Okay. So FMV games at the front. All right. Let's do it.
All right.
I'm on board.
Night Trap is actually really hard. For anyone who has never played the game and only knows about it because of its mild infamy.
I have played the game.
I have too. I played it so many times. And there's no reason to because there's very limited replay value, but I played it so many times, except to get the perfect ending. Basically, in the game, you're switching around from camera to camera to trap these bad guys that are trying to kill your good guys. And it sounds like that's a very simple thing, but there's no indicator that the bad guy is in this room. So you have to constantly switch around all the time to get to find these guys in black like trash bags called augers that you have to trap with like completely weird, elaborate Rube Goldberg devices or something. And it's you have to play it like so many times over and over and over again and memorize where everything is. I will tell you about my experience playing Night Trap. I had a notepad and I wrote down like there's like timestamps and I wrote down every time that I could find that a bad guy showed up. So by the like I don't know, dozenth time that I played the game. I don't think that's a real word, but after playing it many, many times, I knew exactly where everything was, and I could get the good ending. The good ending is, what was it? It was something like that Dana Plato looks at you and is like, wow, you're the best ever. You're super cool. And also you could trap Dana Plato at the very end, for no reason, except to be a dick. And it was great. The controversy surrounding this game is like, if this game were made today, we would call it like so PG rated, but back then, if you had people in nightgowns that were not really revealing, and a bad guy grabbed her, that was somehow like turned into this thing where everyone thought that like a character had...
Just you talking about it is provocative.
And there was this like weird rumor going around that someone had been raped in the game, which admittedly would be shocking, but no one was, even a little bit. There is no sex in this game. There is very little even sexual innuendo in this game, like a mild amount in the tiniest bit. There's
a shower scene.
There's a shower scene, but you don't see it.
Totally PG-13.
Yeah, it's barely even PG-13. It's a very mild, tepid game. And
this is back when people said like playing Dungeons and Dragons would literally summon Satan.
Yeah, and
that only happened once, and I was in the room, and I was like, oh, my bad. And he was like, sorry, gotta go.
I swear this never happened to me before.
And in all fairness to the brilliant minds back in the 90s, we have our own stupid shit that we pretend is a crisis these days too. So every generation has stupid stuff that like 10 years later we're like, I can't believe we thought that. So
sexting, man, sexting. People are sexting your grandmother right now, which is weird because some of them are probably dead.
Wow. But no, Night Trap is actually harmless. I loved the Digital Pictures games from back in the day. When you bought the Sega CD...
Wait, Sewer Shark?
Yes, Sega CD came with Sewer Shark.
You liked Sewer Shark?
I loved Sewer Shark. I played the hell out of that game. I mean, looking back now, it's not that great, but it is fun because, you know, the guy, his name is Ghost, and he's like a badass, and he looks at you, and he's like, let's go, dog meat. And I'm like, yes, I'm dog meat. Talk to me bad.
I think you've just learned something about Leon's personal life.
Leon, as you were talking about Night Trap, Kotaku just published, this is literally happening right now, just published an expose with the Kickstarter people.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of things to this, but they said that it cost them $500,000 to get the rights to Night Trap.
Okay.
It's the people who are doing this Kickstarter, which only leaves them with like after Kickstarter's cut. Even if they just make their goal, like they don't have enough money. Like this is like not a realistic like thing. This is like this entire article. I'll send it to you, but it appears that these people might be in over their heads.
Well, then you know what we have to do. Amp up donations, gentlemen.
Yeah, everybody. If you want to really stick it to politicians from 20 years ago, this is the way to do it. Send a middle finger from back in time and fund Night Trap revamped.
For just $20, you can get in and get your own copy of Night Trap on PC. And apparently, as it says, for ease of record keeping and shipping, this and other tiers featuring copies of the game are divided into 4 sections, one each for PC, Mac, PlayStation, and Xbox copies.
I still want it. I still want this game to happen so much. I mean, admittedly, it would just be like playing Night Trap again, and let's face it, we can sort of ROM that shit. But but I want to see it in crystal clear clarity. I have an HDMI hookup. I might as well use it. You know, I have a better TV now. I want to play this game again, and I might as well play the best possible version of it. But no, as I was saying, I actually loved all the Digital Pictures games. Sewer Shark was great. I still think Catfish is awesome. Catfish is a tiny robotic ball that it's like he's like a coward, but which is weird because it's like you barely exist. So why are you like worried about getting attacked by a rat that's mean because you're made of metal? You're better than this. But I wanted like Sewer Shark 2 where you play Catfish. I wanted all of these games to have sequels, but they did not do that. The digital pictures didn't last very long. I played Ground Zero Texas. That's a fun game, sort of. And Double Switch is the best one. Double Switch is the best one.
You have told me about Double Switch before.
Oh my god, I love that game. Previously alive actor Corey Haim is in that game, and it's just really cool. Blondie, what's her name? The lead singer from Blondie is in it.
Deborah Harry.
Deborah Harry's in it. It's just a really fun game. And I'm not saying this like I know people think I'm like saying this in like a really hipster way, like, oh, I sure do love those digital picture games. Let's play this as a goof. No, they were. I enjoyed them. I really liked Double Switch. It was a lot of fun. It's not as hard as Night Trap because they actually let you know when people are in the room, but you still have to do certain things and watch certain things and get through it. I'm not saying that these games are like brilliant, but with the technology that they had at the time to make basically full motion video into a game that's not besides an adventure game, like an actual game, I think they did as best as they could. And I would be fine if this sort of thing, if anything actually came back. So that's why I'm so interested in Night Trap becoming a thing again. I have less hope for it now because there's an article that says this isn't looking good. But I just have to hope for the best, I guess.
It's full motion video, Leon. What could go wrong?
Hey! There were such things as good full motion video games.
Yeah,
or games that used full motion video at the very least.
I played Phantasmagoria. I played that game. I'm not sure if that's a great game, but I played it and I enjoyed it. It's basically full motion video actors against a cartoon backdrop, so it's basically like reverse Who Framed Roger Rabbit. It's great.
Gabriel Knight 2 was better, and also Wing Commander 3 and 4, and debatably Wing Commander Prophecy were also okay because Biff from Back to the Future was in them. And in 3 and 4, also Malcolm McDowell and John Rhys Davies and Mark Hamill.
Not to completely change topics now, but I sat down and watched I rarely watch comedies, but I sat down with the wife and we watched a movie called The Heat. It's like a sort of throwback buddy cop comedy. It's only okay, but the best part of it is that there's the police commissioner. We see him, and I'm like, that guy looks familiar. And my wife says, yeah. And I said, oh, it's Biff from Back to the Future. And it totally was him. It's the first time I've seen Biff in anything besides Back to the Future 1, 2, or 3.
Tom Wilson has done a lot of stand-up, actually, in the meantime.
He's been around. He's been in a lot of movies and a lot of TV, and I know he does stand-up because I actually did see a clip of him performing a song about how he doesn't like people constantly asking him the exact same questions about Back to the Future over and over again. But beyond that, this is like the first movie that I've seen him in since that trilogy. I know he's done tons of stuff, and he's a very prolific actor, but not in like huge things.
He was also in Wing Commander 3, 4, and Wing Commander Prophecy.
Oh, well, then give him the Oscar.
Which automatically makes FMV games okay.
Oh, Johnny.
All right. Anything more we want to say about this before we talk about the last thing that is going to sound sad, but we'll make it fun?
You're setting a high bar there, Leon.
Yeah. Yesterday, we're recording this on Tuesday, so yesterday we found that Robin Williams had passed away, and we're not going to get too heavy on this show because we normally don't. But it would be really nice to talk about our favorite Robin Williams performances. For me, I'll just start. To me, Robin Williams will always be the genie, and that's no disrespect to Dan Castellaneta, who picked up being the genie in Return of the Jafar and in the animated series. In a way, Dan Castellaneta has been the genie way more than Robin Williams ever did, because he was in like a television series as the genie that lasted like a few different seasons. But Robin Williams to me is always like sort of synonymous with the genie. I guess because that's, you know, when I saw him as a kid. I didn't see him in too many other things when I was young. I've seen him since in, you know, a lot of other stuff. But to me, Aladdin is like the best showcase for Robin Williams, because he was always about doing lots of impersonations and being very wacky, and him as a cartoon just makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. I mean, Aladdin's my favorite Disney movie by a long shot, and his performance in that's a lot of the reason why. But do you know the story about why he stopped being Genie?
Yeah, he had actually an issue with Disney on how he was marketed for that movie. He wanted it to be sort of like low key. And Disney was like, no, you're Robin Williams. Of course we're going to make kind of a big deal about this, that you're in this movie. And he was like, I don't want that for some reason. Which is weird, because nowadays, like, big stars are in cartoons, and it's like the fact that Brad Pitt was in Megamind was like a huge part of the marketing, even though he's barely in it.
But I mean, the reason why the way it is now is all because of Robin Williams. He changed the way that voice acting, like, in Hollywood was perceived.
Yeah,
it's a marquee thing now, and before that, it really wasn't.
It's kind of strange to me, and I don't mean to completely deviate, but it's always kind of weird to me when I see a new comedy and they have all these huge stars, and I'm like, that's cool, but you could have got like really great voice actors who are just as good for way less money. But I guess it just like live action movies, you know, the big names sell now, and yeah, that has partly to do with Williams.
Yep.
What's your favorite Robin Williams performance, Austin, or is it Aladdin?
I mean, it is Aladdin, but there's like 1,000 other ones. If you follow me on Twitter, and you should, I actually like went a little weird like a month ago, and I just started tweeting about Jumanji.
Jumanji!
I don't know if anybody saw that. It was really weird. I
just yelled Jumanji, man.
I know. I love Jumanji. Actually, it's an inside joke with me and my girlfriend. Like, we were just laying in bed the other night. It was like before any of this, right? And she was like playing on her phone or something, and I just leaned over and it got up right up in her ear, and I just whispered, Jumanji!
You're a romantic son of a bitch.
I know. It was the greatest moment of my life. I don't know. I just love that movie, and I love everything about it. Just, what year is it? It's just, that's it. Genie's my favorite, but if I had to pick a second, Jumanji, definitely. And that's not even, there's so many others. I don't want to take up all the time, but that's the one I would definitely support next. Johnny?
I'm taking a different tack.
Mm-hmm.
It's gotta be Dead Poets Society.
I do love that movie. He's definitely the best part about it. I have problems with the movie itself, but his performance in that is fantastic.
I say Dead Poets Society because both his performance was fantastic and the movie itself meant a lot to me. Mm-hmm. It has meant a lot to me. Neither of you gentlemen may know this, but I tried to kill myself when I was a teenager. And it was a fucked up time. Oh man.
So much for not making this a heavy thing, Johnny.
No. I mean, the point that I'm trying to get at here is that actually seeing his performance as an inspirational figure and connecting with people and talking about inspiration and moving out of the ranks of what you're expected to do and who you're expected to be, to do the things that you want to do, was really important for me. It touched me in a lot of ways that I was not prepared to be affected by.
Mm-hmm.
And in the end, it had a profoundly positive effect on my life. In that I can be the person I want to be. And I can do the things that I want to do. Even if I choose to do the things that are not appetizing to me, I can at least acknowledge that I choose to do them.
Well,
but in the end...
I'm sorry, go ahead.
But in the end, it's me making the choice. It's me choosing to do them. It's me living my life. Even in spite of having, at one point in time, tried, as many do desperately, to end it. So yeah, Dead Poet Society was big for me because it dealt with the concept of suicide and not fitting in, and inspiration, and finding a way in or out, however you define it. It was a very, very important movie for me. A very important performance from him. And I am so happy to have seen it. And it brings me such joy that he did it so well.
Johnny, sometimes I think like we have led like parallel lives, and one day on this podcast I will tell our audience about the movie that helped save me. That has nothing to do with Robin Williams, so I'll leave that for another day. But I certainly appreciate your story, and I don't think we can top that. So we should probably go out on that.
So much for our musical tribute to Batty from Fern Gully.
No. We can get heavy just today, but only today. Fern Gully is a terrible movie. Come on. Come on.
I love Fern Gully.
And remember, kids, don't eat yellow snow. Especially in fucking August.